Doing a little bit of data logging tonight. It is cold, and let's get the car up and running here. Just got through pulling the stock air filter. Now, the reason for this, a lot of folks have asked about K&N air filters and green filters and whatever drop-in filter, and I figured, well, it's 34 degrees outside. Why not get some data? So I've already got data with the filter in the car. Now, keep in mind, it was kind of hard for me, and it is hard for me to film and drive and do everything else, especially run, looking at data, things like that. I will tell you, so far, data looks great on the car, as you would imagine that it would, 34 degrees, right? But if any condition was going to tax the flow, if you will, of the stock air filter, I would make an argument that this would be that time. So what are we going to do? We're going to take a look at data and just compare the two data sets. Does pulling the filter increase KPA, or airflow, in this case, boost? So I figured I'd bring you guys along for the ride, because that's always fun. Now, I never suggest running without a filter. That's really not what we're doing here. What we're doing is we're going to see just an extreme example, one to the next. So I see we got some folks chiming in here. Let me say what's up to everybody real quick. Well, I can't really do that and drive, but anyway, I'll try to get to you guys. We're going to make a couple of hits, see what the car is going to act like. Now, let me rewind the story real quick for you guys. Back, I don't know, it's been several months ago, I tested the green filter. Now, green as opposed to K&N, it's a brand name. And the green filter is touted to be in the highest flowing filter you can buy. I mean, you can basically look right through it. In fact, part of my video, I'm actually, waving my hand in front of it, doing all that kind of stuff. But anyway, part of the interesting bit of data that came from that was that it didn't do anything for the car. Now, I also compared surface area of the filter material and all of that, and oddly enough, it was significantly less just in terms of actual filter media, but just the square inch of exposure, what the air would be sucking through, so to speak, was significantly lower. So, get this one light right out of my eyeball here. So that it was just kind of a funny bit of data. It's like, look, even the green filter at this power level wasn't offering up any real performance gain, at least not as far as what the data would allow you to believe. And really, I'm looking at KPA here, guys. I'm not looking at anything else. I'm only looking at the amount of boost that the car is making pass for pass. Stock filter versus green filter, which is what I did last time. Well, this time it's a little bit different. This time we're running no filter. So let's see, in these conditions, when, quite honestly, if we're going to tax limits of airflow of any filter, what the engine is going to demand and command, it's going to be in these conditions, guys. So let's get up here. We'll do a quick hit. We'll do a backup hit. See what happens. I think the data is going to show us it's not going to be that far off. So, go ahead and command this thing to start. Here we go. All right, guys. Got the seatbelts on. We're going to make the hit right at 70 conditions and all that. So we're going to slow down a little bit. Go ahead and hit it. Fourth gear. Fifth gear. Into sixth gear. We're going to roll off the throttle slowly, apply the brake softly, haul her down from the run, kill the data log. And there is a test for you. Now, let's take a look at, real quickly, because I've got in my head what the number is. I believe it was 184 was the KPA that it pulled. Oh, this is too funny. It's actually a lower KPA running, again, without the filter. Believe that or we're going to do one more just to back that up. Hang on just a second, guys. Let me get this thing pulled over. We're going to take a look at data real quick on this run back. But this is always good to do. You know, a lot of times folks will ask, well, have you tried this filter? Have you tried that filter? Have you done this? Have you done that? It's like, yes, I've done all of that. So I figure it's always kind of fun to bring you guys along for the ride when I can. There we go. All right. So we are going to make a backup hit just to validate that no filter is basically no different than having that paper filter at this power level. So let's go ahead and get her back up and running, get her up to speed on the target hit. It'll be 70. Go ahead and hit it now. Fifth gear. Sixth gear. Pull out the throttle, vibrate softly. There's the second load test with no filter. I'm going to go ahead and kill the data stream, and we're going to do a quick eyeball on that. Oh, that's too funny. So no difference. In fact, that is a consistent drop in KPA running without the filter. KPA was coming into this at about 184. We're down to around 181. So the Airbox, the way it resonates or does whatever it does in there, doesn't like running without the filter, number one. So keep that in the back of your mind. Number two, we've already shown that a green filter isn't going to do you any favors above and beyond what the stock filter will provide in terms of airflow, at least as far as what the data will suggest. Now, I will say that this is only at this car's power level. Again, we're working with a car right now that's making somewhere around, you know, it made 666 to the rear wheels. When I did the horsepower thing the other day, it hit as high as 733. It was a little bit warmer though. Right now at 34 degrees Fahrenheit, it's probably going to hit somewhere around like 740, 750 calculated horsepower at the flywheel. So that'll give you an idea as far as what kind of power the car is making. The tune, there really isn't much to it, to be honest with you. But we are running on 93 octane. And then what we're going to do is we're going to stop up here. And I've got the data set for the runs with the filter in the car. We're going to take a look at the runs with the filter out of the car and compare, you know, things like knock voltage and things like that, which I don't think there's going to be any real difference there. As a matter of fact, the data on that, I mean, the data on this car is so pretty. You got a good tank of gas, not a lot of gas, but we got a good tank of gas in the car. A lot better than the one that kind of scalded me the other day at the drag strip. But, oh yeah, data is money on those, on the knock sensor voltage. So I'll get to you guys here in just a second. Obviously, I can't scroll through the feed while I'm driving, but I wanted to get you guys this information, and I wanted to do it in real time, and I wanted to bring you guys along for the ride because I never get a chance to do this kind of stuff. And with the track being closed, with all the icy conditions and all of that we've had, I know 34 isn't icy, but leading up to this, we've had some problems down here in Southeast Texas with the weather and the ice and everything else. But all that taken aside, I wanted to bring you guys along for the ride so that you can see kind of like how this process goes. And again, this is a back-to-back test. Well, the filter's down there now, but and just kind of to see what the data looks like and to sharing that experience with you guys. Now, I will say that this is a very clean filter, but I mean, what else would you be comparing it to, right? I mean, if we're going to compare it to a filter that's, you know, clogged up like crazy, I mean, you wouldn't do that. That wouldn't even make sense. Math doesn't even work like that. But filter for no filter, the data is not in the data is not in the corner of having a green filter or no filter. So let me go ahead and get to where I can pull over here and hang out with you guys here just a second. Let me take a look at what all this bad boy data looks like. All right, let me check in with you guys real quick. Let's see. Case checking and saying, first, I like it. Michael Corleone saying, good evening, Professor, with the arm flex. X is saying, how you doing over there? Heard there's a lot of power outages. We got a lot of power outages. As a matter of fact, we've been extremely fortunate, but a lot of folks haven't been. So thoughts and prayers to those guys. Lots of busted water pipes, etc. Boondock is saying, thanks for testing, Brian. You got it. David saying, I missed most of yesterday, but is the Scat Pack still going to be manufactured? Yes, it will be. Don't worry about that. Boone saying, your blower whine seems loud for having a stock airbox. Yeah, this one's always been a little bit on the, at least you can hear it. Boone saying, interesting results. Case asking, do you think the SRTs will go up in value now since there will be no more SRTs? No, not really. I mean, there's still going to be SRTs being made. I think a lot of folks were getting worried, but Stellantis isn't going to throw the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to that. And Ken is saying, car sounds amazing. Fast shifts. Yeah, she's running good, man. I got to admit. So let's go through the data real quick. Zero knock retard across the entire pass. All the hits that I made were made at 70. The reason why I made the hits at 70 miles an hour is because if I try to make the hits at a lower mile per hour with these Nitto Tri-5 R2s on the back, it's going to corrupt the data because I'm going to get wheel spin out of it. So it's easier to have that hard hit going into fourth, to where I can carry fifth gear out as long as I need. So at 70, I get a good hard hit into fourth gear, but it's not super hard where it's just going to twilight the tires. And again, at this car's power level, which again, 670-ish to the rear wheels on a Mustang dyno, and I don't know, 740-ish to the flywheel. That's going to keep things kind of safe for us too. Running on 93 octane with no additives, no race gas. So looking at knock sensor voltage, I mean, it's about as pretty as you could hope for it to be. No knock retard at all. So both runs are consistent in that respect. Peak KPA, and keep in mind, this is a 2015, so my KPA might be a little bit less than yours if you have a later 16, 17, 18 and up. Even though this car runs her ass off, the KPA has always been a little bit low. It might just be how the map sensor reads. But the map is showing, KPA on this one is showing 182. So we're going to go ahead, file that, go to save log file as, and that is going to be no filter. No filter. Run 2, because that was our second pass that I'm saving here in the data log. So when we look at what the hits were, and by the way, both runs were at 34 degrees, so nothing different there. There we go. So we're going to go ahead and pull up, and again, what do we say? 182. Let me look at this at the top of fifth gear. 182.7, the absolute best, and it's hovering right around the normal 178, 179, 180 as boost starts to creep up as we start building RPM. So let's pull up that data for our filtered run. This is where things get kind of interesting here. On the filtered run, it's too funny. 184.8, 185, 184. And it's carrying, percentage-wise, it's insignificant. But it is carrying a higher KPA with the filter in the car. So does that mean that the filter cleans up the airflow? What does that mean? Well, it means that the car, just based on the power production, or at least on the KPA, likes what it sees with the filter in. Now let's go to expected torque or an actual torque, because that's something that we can log. Wow. The girl's making some power. So we're going to take a consistent spot where it was making just more KPA was right around 6,000 RPM. And at dead on 6,000 RPM, actual torque was calculated to be about 615 pound-feet of torque. So we're going to tie a string around our finger to remember 615 at 6. Let's pull up the no filter and see if there's any difference. Could just be more or less a calculation on that, but always fun to see because I never really get a chance to play with that. Let's see. See if the car saw any different. $615, 601 was 616. No difference there. KPA was practically identical. So when you take that into consideration, you be the judge, but I would go so far as to say that, obviously, and by the way, this kind of does walk in lockstep with the testing that I did with that green filter. 615, expected is 673. That's going right off of the table though. So, nothing to be shocked about there. Let's see something here. Just for grins, I'm playing around with some of these data logs here. Bear with me, guys. Yeah, there literally is no difference between the two. So that answers the age-old question. Will running an aftermarket filter get you more power? Will you pick up boost? Does it free anything up? Well, I can answer that in two different ways. Number one, I've tested the green filter, no gain. And then I've tested zero filter, which is how she sits right now, and no gain whatsoever. So, yeah. In fact, I'll go so far as to say that the stock filter did a better job. Let's see. Doc Diff is checking in. Brandon asking, would I get any benefit from 180 degree thermostat for my Hellcat on the stock tune? Yeah, I would say that you would. The cool thing about, at least with my car, it never threw a code with the 180 thermostat. But yeah, you don't have to have a tune. It'll be cooler on the freeway, and it'll be cooler. Basically, that's the only place it would be cooler. At cruise and on the freeway, that's the only place you're going to see a lower temperature. In and around town, it's not going to make any real difference, but it will be cooler going down the freeway. So a little bit better if you're doing street hits like we're doing tonight. So I'll tell you what, if y'all want to hang out for just a minute or two, let me do this. Let me get this filter back in the car and validate a back-to-back. So this is going to take me just a minute or two. Y'all conversate amongst yourselves, and then I will be right back. Hang on just a second. Guys, I'll tell you what, I'm not used to 32 degrees. Okay, so we're back. Stock filter is now back in the car. We got about just enough gas to make one more hit. But so far, if you're just coming into it, we have discovered that running no filter got us no gain in terms of data. So we're just going to validate everything. We've already run it with filter, now no filter. I didn't do any videotaping of the filtered runs, but we will do a video validating them. Tell you what, it's chilly. 34 degrees, by the way. Go ahead and get the data logger running. Oh man, getting scruffy over here. Go ahead and get her going here. So yeah, we've been having some ice storms down here, and at least ice storms as far as we're concerned. Totally took out the water plant, totally took out power to untold number of households. So thoughts, prayers, hopefully you guys get everything back, everything's good, houses are safe and dry. So definitely feel bad for my brothers and sisters dealing with that right now. So if you are, hopefully this adds a little bit of a distraction to that, doing a little car nerd stuff. Be able to make that hit here pretty quick, get a validation on this little bit of an experiment. That way you can go back and tell folks, look man, I saw this guy do this. He did it with real time, did it in real time with everybody along for the ride. Data doesn't lie, that's for sure. What was funny is I'm kind of breaking my rule. Actually, I'm okay, I think, making street hits at this fuel level. But we're going to have to end it on this next hit, at least in terms of making any hard hits, because we are under a quarter of a tank of gas. And although we're not launching it at the drag strip, so there's that. But she's got a pretty nasty habit of fuel yipping at about this this fuel level. I don't think it will though from roll, but we're going to make one more hit here briefly. Same protocol that we were using, 70 hit, keeping it safe, and letting it go through 4th gear, 5th gear, and then that'll be our load test. We'll roll out of the throttle and then go ahead and bring her down from there. So getting pretty close to our spot. Go ahead and get her to the right speed, and then we will begin the test. The fun thing is that it doesn't take too long to run through this sample. So there's our light. All right. I'm going to go ahead and make the hit. Data logging 3, 2, 1, wide open throttle. There's 5th. 6th. Pull out the throttle, apply the brakes, bring it down. Stop the data log. All right. Back-to-back validation, 184.9. There you go, guys. Higher KPA with the filter in the car. The data literally can't. It doesn't get any more back-to-back, guys. Y'all were along with me for the ride. Y'all were with me when I swapped filters out. That is an AB back to A comparison. Stock filter versus absolutely no filter whatsoever. This cracks me up. 184.9. Wow. Okay. 185, 186. It's the data, guys. So we're going to, as we always do, log file, save log file as stock filter. Run, I don't know, 3. We'll just call it run 3. And let's go back and take a look at the data set. Data looks great. Knock sensor voltage. Let's see. Looks good. Just kind of buzzing through it real quick. Everything looks lovely. Let's see. Nothing weird here. Nope. Like I said, guys, everything very happy. No knock retard. Sorry, just going through the data. Bear with me just a second. Yeah, 185. That we would not do that with no filter. And again, we're talking about, I want to make it super clear. I mean, we are talking about my car at my power level, which is to say, not pulley, not a whole lot of power, no adders or anything like that. Go back and look at air charge. Oh, so for you guys that are thinking about doing rip-a-tunes or anything like that, remember when I was telling you that the air charge peaks at 1.5, right? Peaks at 1.50. Yeah, we're hitting 1.55. So again, you pulley with no tune at your own risk. I'm looking at the data, and again, we're doing cold weather testing for obvious reasons. This is when you're taxing the airflow of that filter the most. This is when the car is going to want and need to throw the most fuel at it, everything. Looking at knock sensor voltage, looking at everything, the data looks fantastic, but that is the highest air charge I've ever seen this car pull. So let me do this. Get out of that. Bring this other one up. This is actually pretty good stuff. You're, nerding out on this the way that I am. So the air charge, believe it or not, yeah, the air charge was not as high with no filter. So that is validated through air charge and KPA, guys. Air charge value 151, I think, is what we hit. 150 with no filter. 155 with the filter in the car. Again, the stock air filter. Now I know what you're going to say. Well, what have you tried it with the green filter or the K&N? If I tried it with the green or if I tried it with the K&N, the results would be the exact same as they were when I tried it with the green versus the stock filter. And the green, again, was lower in terms of KPA. So, yeah, I mean, there we go. We've data logged them together. We even changed the filter together, for crying out loud. And that's what we've got. So kind of a cool experiment. Again, this is in a car that's making, again, on Pike's Performance's dyno, it made 666 horsepower to the rear wheels. Tonight, that power level's probably going to be floating around, somewhere in the, I would say, 740-ish horsepower at the flywheel would be what I would calculate. So there you go. And at that power level, this is something else I want to bring to your attention. At that power level, and based on the air demands of this engine, that filter doesn't create a problem. Now, naturally aspirated engines are going to have different resonance waves. They're going to act a little bit different, but his case, no filter whatsoever. So always fun to do these kind of tests, and you know, I try to get you guys data as often as I can, and this is just a cool opportunity. And again, the reason why we're doing this tonight is, well, I was going freaking stir crazy, and so there's that. And but again, it's 34 degrees, and testing when you've got super low DA, car is going to be pulling a ton of air through that filter. This is the most air that this blower is ever going to drag through that filter is right now. And you know, or the lack of a filter, and we've established that that wasn't even anything holding this combination back. So let me go ahead and pull over here so I can visit with you guys real quickly. Bear with me just a second. I'll answer any questions you guys may have. Notice too, by the way, I'm not comparing this with, you know, running something like a open element filter or anything like that. I mean, for crying out loud, I just did no filter in a stock Airbox in ice cold, literally ice cold conditions. What good would it do? I mean, aside from making more noise, which if you're into that, and I am, by the way, which is cool, but from a performance standpoint, I just don't know where you would get a lot of benefit. Okay, so I think we stopped last at Doc Diff saying what? Let's see, get that out of my eyeballs. Brendan saying, would I get any benefit from 180? I already went over that. Arthur saying, awesome, got the arm flex and the ball guy with the shades. I like it. Kay saying, so I found a 2010 Dodge Challenger literally 6 miles away from me. It's got a 6-speed manual, 42,000 miles. Okay, sounds good. Oh, whoa, hey, what'd I do there? Slash is hanging out. Yo, Michael Corleone and Dr. Diff, the vets are in. I like it. Kay, sound like a good deal? I don't know. I'd have to see it. Money-wise, it sounds okay. Arthur saying, get it, yep. Destroyer saying, very interested in this. Hopefully this is helping you. Arthur Wall saying, here we go. Hold on, guys. I like it. Sovereign saying, A.B. Mason. Asking, did I get power back on last night? Actually, I had power at the shop today. But it's been on again, off again. In fact, I need to run by there. Sovereign saying, music to my ears. I like it. Saying, there it is. Sovereign saying, filter is performing better than without. Yes, it is. Destroyer saying, does air temp around freezing affect the results from a moisture standpoint? Actually, the great part about it is our grains are super low. And because the grains are so low, I've got real consistent, nice, clean air that I'm running with. And the data would agree with that. By the way, let me take a look at this data again with no filter. Yeah, the air charge. The air charge is not there. The air charge, believe it or not, guys, with no filter is just a little bit less. Yeah, I mean, it's less. It's in the ballpark, but it is less. Cap saying, good evening for us from Mason. Good evening. What is that? Holy mackerel. Whoa. Destroyer 1320. Oh, Cap saying, what's up, Captain Scat? Let's see. Sovereign Knight saying that slight restriction to airflow actually performs better without. Go figure. It does. And the thing is, it's not really a restriction. I mean, obviously it's not, because my air charge went up with the filter. So is it cleaning the air up? Is it cleaning up? Is there a turbulence? Is it cavitating for some reason because it doesn't have a filter? Maybe. But again, the air charge is showing that it's simply not dragging in more air, and the KPA agrees with the air charge findings. Let's see. The story saying, sounds so good. Yeah, it does. Story saying, loving this info. Absolutely. Arthur Wall saying, 666 wheel horsepower. How ironic. I know it. I love it. It green screen 666 at Pike's Performance. In fact, I think one of my data logs even is when I data logged it on the dyno 666. It was pretty cool. Oh yeah, Car Wash is saying, yeah, with it being that low, that there's no air or moisture, hardly any moisture in there. Grains are real low right now. In fact, if I had the air thing that Doc Diff let me use, the Crestal, I could actually tell you what it is. And Destroyer saying he likes the fine details. Absolutely. Let's see. Oh, and Kay is saying he sent me the Carfax on that car. Cool. Yeah, I'll check it out. But yeah, guys, I wanted to, this is the kind of info, this is the kind of stuff that kind of gets me going, you know, when I, you know, I'm able to either look at different products or, you know, just all the different cool testing that we can do. This is when it gets fun for me, is when I can actually get the car out and get real data, not on a dyno, because dynos, people say, dynos don't lie. Well, yeah, maybe not, but they can be manipulated into giving you a certain version of the truth. But this is the kind of stuff I really like to do, because this is the stuff that, you know, when the boots are on the ground, or, you know, to really kill a cliche, when the rubber meets the road, this is the type of data that you need to have to get the best results. And it doesn't sound like it's a lot of, you know, not a big, it's not a big difference. No, it doesn't, you know, wouldn't think that, oh, well, it's, you know, it's a K&N, it's not that big of a deal. But the fact of the matter is that stock filter does a great job. And I think that's really more to the point for the guys that are running the 392 powered cars, especially the Challengers. This will give you an idea, like what we've been saying for how many years now, since 2015. Put the Hellcat airbox in the car, run the snorkel, put the Hellcat filter in the car, and you've got an OE part that filters dust, debris, whatever, really, really well. But there's no giving up on anything in terms of performance. So, and I think we've just proven that tonight. And again, it blows me away, because the data agrees. We literally went filter, which I didn't get on video, but we went filter, no filter, which is when we started, and then we put the filter back in the car. We did that together, and we're able to recreate in real time the results that we got with the filter in the car. I just think that is so cool. And again, it goes back to, you know, to say that it just validates what we had been talking about and saying for so long, that the Hellcat air filter with the Hellcat airbox is extremely hard to beat. And apparently the Hellcat filter and the Hellcat airbox cannot even be beaten by just the Hellcat airbox with no filter. And again, not to belay the point, but for anybody that's just now getting in, the idea was to take a look at, you know, I had already done the testing on the green filter, and we had also tested the green filter against the stock filter, but we never did no filter at all. Well, now come to find out that at least at this power level, with a supercharged application, running the airbox with the filter in it is actually better in terms of power production than running the airbox with no filter in it. And again, that kind of walks in lockstep with the data that we got when we did the green filter testing. It just wasn't as good as the stock filter. Let's see, hang on just a second, guys. I'm gonna go hit the gas station real quick, because I'm about to be pushing this thing. So we're gonna go to our preferred, make sure I got my wallet. Hopefully they got power. And it stinks too, because we are not going to have a drag strip tomorrow night, unfortunately. You know, just weather is not going to, actually the weather is going to be unbelievable tomorrow. But with everything that's going on, I mean, there's no way that, you know, some folks can't even get able to get some testing in. And that is a very cool thing. Wait a second, folks. Get in here. This is great. So my gas gauge, guys, just so y'all keep y'all in the loop. The gas gauge, when we took off, was about 1/4 of a tank. Just a little tick underneath it. I thought, it'll be enough for testing, no big deal. I'm only gonna make a few hits at the most. So out of 6 hits, we have annihilated that 1/4 of a tank of gas, at least on this gauge. You gotta remember that the gauges on these cars are not very accurate, to say the least. They're typically about 20% off until you're basically out of gas, and then it goes, oh wait a minute, you got nothing left in the tank. So anyway, I'm gonna duck into this Exxon station here that I always get gas at. In fact, not only do I always get gas at this Exxon, I nearly always get gas. What the fuck is that lady doing? Anyway, I almost get gas at the exact same pump. Same pump at the gas station. Isn't that funny? How funny is that? Okay, so we made it to the gas station. Didn't have to get in our cardio for the night. All right, let me check in with you guys real quick. Hang on. All right. Car saying, would an engine trans tune help with my 2020 1320 Challenger, or should I just leave it be? No pun intended. Actually, I tell you what, I'm sure that there is something that you can gain with that car with an engine and trans tune, but I'm going to say this about that car. Stock, that car is a mid 11-second car as delivered. I mean, you pull the seat out of it, leave the Nexons on it, you can go 1140s with that thing. And I know this because that's what Ray did with his. Now, would you get anything out of it? I don't know. The new OS is really good, and the 1320 is really, really good from the factory. You're not going to hear me say this too often. There might be a couple of tweaks in there that you could play with and get a little bit more out of it. But man, unless you're really throwing the kitchen sink at it, you're not going to get a whole lot more out of it, I don't think. There's certainly some, but I mean, dude, that car is pretty kick-ass from the factory. Captain Scott saying, I got my 309 LSD installed at Doc Diff. Nice. Last week on my 5.7, and I'm loving it over the 306 Open Diff. Oh, I bet. Yeah, that's gonna make that car a lot more fun to drive, man, for sure. Let's see. Okay, saying of the limited edition Super Bees. Yeah, Sovereign saying, hear that supercharger whine, just good stuff. Absolutely. Arthur saying it never gets old. Arthur saying even the soft shift sound nice and light. They are. Actually, this car is a treat to drive in street mode. Just putting around in it. Let's see. Mr. Blacktop saying, I'd love to see some live testing tomorrow. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to get any live testing tomorrow. There's no track, unfortunately. I was actually hoping to get to the drag strip because we were going to go hunting a number, guys. I mean, this seat was going to come out. I was going to run her about as light as I possibly could. I was going to go shoot for a 10-10 with this thing. I think we would have the weather to do it, but unfortunately, like I say, I mean, to get this kind of weather, it cost us a lot in terms of, the ice storm and everything else. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get that. But again, it gives us a great opportunity because it's not going to be this cold again. It gives us this opportunity to get the car out and run it and get the kind of data that we're looking at here. Sovereign saying, running dry is definitely not a good thing on the fuel system. So, yeah, I know it. I was looking at the data actually too. Let's see, just for grins here. We never had an issue with, so injector duty cycle never spiked. So we didn't cavitate a pump. Thank goodness. But just so you guys know, oh yeah, again, and you know I'm going to beat this to death, right? For you guys that are thinking about running that Ripatune pulley or whatever, remember, this is stock air filter run 3, 1.55 air charge. KPA looked really good, but let me stop you dead in your tracks. Cold weather testing. Anybody want to shoot an idea? Now remember, this is a stock car, stock boost. Any of you guys want to throw out a number as far as injector duty cycle? What injector duty cycle do you think we hit? And remember, it's stock boost. Ooh, shit, hang on. Where's the button? Top tip, by the way, if you ever get a laptop, get one with lighted keys. That's going to have to happen soon. All right, so let me see if anybody's throwing a number out there. Boondoggle, 75%. That's one guess. Keep in mind, stock car, 34 degrees. Me tuning it, though. Who's next? Somebody else throw out a number out there. Car Wash is saying 70%. That's a guess. Okay. Remember, stock car, 93 octane, me tuning it, 34 degrees. I'll give you, just remember, we overshot our air charge chart. Remember that. Our air charge chart stops at 1.5. We're at 1.52 at 6,300 RPM, basically at 1.55 at 5,800. Let's drag her back up. Hang on. I'll let a few guys more shoot some guesses out. I know the suspense is killing you. Hang on. For those of y'all that have guessed. Boosted saying 86, Steve saying 80, Mr. Blacktop 83, KA saying 81. Boys. None of y'all got it right. 97.2%. Hopefully that's showing up on camera. 97.2, guys. So, you still thinking about putting that Ripatune? You still thinking about putting that Incognitus on your car with no tune? Yeah, drag that thing out in cold weather with a stock car dragging 97.2% duty cycle. And by the way, you can see the KPA. It's right there. That hit was only 182. Y'all know we went as high as 185, but that was higher up. So you're going to have a lower injector duty, injector duty cycle will go up. But anyway, long story short, 97.2. Steve is going 97.2. Yeah. That's the difference, guys. That's why I keep saying. And Doc Diff, if he's still on, he's not, because he had probably got the number almost to the number. That's why, guys, I've been saying, whenever anybody tells you, oh yeah, you can go with this pulley and no tune and it'll make all this power and it'll do this and that. Okay, 97.2%. Now, granted, I'm throwing more fuel at it. You got to remember, I've tuned the car, but it's tuned to where it doesn't have a problem running wide open throttle with absolutely gorgeous data on the knock sensors. By the way, if y'all didn't see it, if y'all didn't notice it, look at knock sensor 1 and knock sensor 2 data. 0.75 of a volt at 6,300 RPM, 0.95 of a volt on knock sensor number 2. This thing could not be happier. And it's making this kind of power just la 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 la. And I'm here at just normal Exxon gas station. So, but I want to make sure that's put into perspective. 97.2, you're already going past your air charge charts limits for timing. So it will flatline at whatever timing mark is at that air charge for that RPM. That's it. There's nowhere else to go for the chart. So it goes, okay, I see that's what we got. I can't read anymore. So you're just going to get that amount of timing. And to be fair, looking at the tune, that 1.55 and 1.54 would have been sliding into a lower timing value on anybody else's tune if they had tuned it for more boost. So do you really want to run that pulley with no tune? My data says that's a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. And Mr. Blacktop saying, missed it by that much. Arthur saying, way off. Arthur Wall saying, damn. Yeah, Boone saying, oh my God, maxed out. Yeah, just about maxed out. There's a little bit of wiggle room in there, guys, but I'm not going to say that it's a good amount of wiggle room. The stock, you will actually start to yank the bypass shut on the stock tune at about 105%. In other words, when it starts ramping up fuel pressure and it's got the injectors wide open and it starts really ramping up fuel pressure to try to compensate for it, you don't want to get into that mode. You want it, hang on, we got a fire and or ambulance coming. Oh, here we go. You don't want to be doing that. That's a super bad idea. That is like the worst idea that you can have to try to keep up with power production. There is no window outside of 100%, in my opinion. There's a lot of guys that'll argue that. That's fine. I will stick to my guns because that mentality and that way of looking at things will go further to save and to do you, it'll pay dividends, really. The money that you spend on injectors and tuning form will work wonders for your self-confidence and at least for your peace of mind. So anyway, well, guys, I got to put some gas in this thing. I hope y'all had fun. I had a lot of fun bringing this data to you. Can't wait to see you guys on the next live. But again, I just wanted to bring this data to you guys, bring you along for the ride, get a chance to enjoy something, learn something together, and dispel some myths that you may have had when it comes to, this air filter thing. So at any rate, y'all have a great one. I got to feed this girl and get her back to the shed. Y'all have a great one. That's a wrap. Adios.